If not, we will move to item 13, courtesy of the floor for public comment on any issue with a 5-minute time limit. Since we don't have anyone that has signed up, go by a show of hands.
Bill Torino, 1037 Main Street, Bethlehem.
Thank you.
I'm not really sure right now where to go with this. I kind of seem outnumbered here. I just want to voice an objection, and that is that given the state of the city as it is right now, the continued problem that I had is that City Council, past members, present members, because there's been some changes, continues to get involved in the Elias situation of zoning. And I think that zoning is a separate entity, but I think it goes to the mindset of the city when the City Council gets involved in a zoning issue this way. This is over a loading dock, okay? And I'm not going to discuss zoning variances or special exceptions or anything like that. You just have to look around the room here and see what's happening to this city, with zoning being one important part of it. So I'm not going to get too wordy here, but I have some what I would call visual aids. No personal attacks. I personally agree with that. There's no grounds for personal attacks. But I just want to read some headlines in my notebook here. Wednesday, September 1st. Excuse me. We'll go back to Saturday, July 24th, 2010. Headline reads, Mayor freezes spending and hiring. September 1st, 2010. Callahan unveils plan to grow jobs. This was in October of this year. Bethlehem Mayor to eliminate 50 jobs. It's easy to throw stones when you're on this side of the aisle, and this is not a personal attack. But as a businessman, to see a city council get involved in a zoning issue where anybody reasonably wants to improve their property, and expand on their property, I mean, I would suggest to those people who oppose this to possibly stay out of the parks this time of the year, because the squirrels are collecting nuts for winter. Thank you.
Any other public comment? On the left here, Lieutenant.
Robert Penning, 2830 Linden Street. Tell you a little story. I went into McDonald's today, ordered my meal. Cashier said to me, that'll be $5.45, sir, plus 25 cents for collecting because the customer didn't pay for their meal yesterday. That's exactly what faces the city as we move forward with this year's refinancing and financing decisions. We're asking future generations to pay for past expenses. Now, it's not just the $20 million that seems to have gotten the attention. Matt Assad also in his article talks about, as part of the refinancing process, sounds to me like a balloon payment instead of something else. Anyway, they're shoving debt that was going to be due early into the later years. Same difference. The mayor is quoted as saying in the Express Times, when asked whether it was wise fiscal policy to borrow over 23 years to pay for past due general fund expenses, Callahan said, I think it is in lieu of a tax increase. I would respectfully disagree with him. I think good fiscal policy is to pay for non-capital expenses when they're incurred, not sometime in the future. The people for whom those expenses are being made, aren't paying for them. I should be happy for the past 4 or 5 years. I've been getting a discount on my city services. And I'll let some anonymous future generation pay for them. I should shut up and go sit down. I think the quote, might have been more better worded, it is wise political policy tactics, strategy to do this. Get the expenses pushed off 1, 2, 3, 4 election cycles. Now, I understand the refinancing and the bond issue will be coming before Finance Committee and then before City Council. Since I really think the mayor has the votes, even though he is quacking now and limping while he waddles, he's got the votes. So it's a waste of my time and your time for me to say anything else on this issue. Unfortunately, there's another reason why I will not appear before the Finance Committee. And that has to do with an incident that occurred at their last meeting. When a citizen stands at this podium, they're facing the chair. There are certain rules the speaker has to follow, and restrictions, the clock being one of the worst ones. But there are rules of what you can and can't say during first courtesy and so on and so forth, no personal attacks, and none of that good stuff. Whole bunch of rules. When I'm standing here, I can watch the chair, and if I can see the chair reaching for his gavel and getting upset with me, I could perhaps alter what I'm saying or my behavior. I fully expect the chair, if I am out of line on any of these rules, to interrupt my speech and say, hey, change your behavior, to admonish me. If I continue on that same tack and ignore the chair, I expect again to be interrupted and say, hey, either play by the rules or your history. And if I continue past that, I expect the chair to say, okay, officer, get him out of here. Those are what I expect from a good chair. At the Finance Committee, prior to the intervention of a Bethlehem police officer, the chair did none of those things to a speaker who was then led out of the room. Perhaps the outcome would have been different, perhaps it wouldn't, but the chair did nothing and relied on the police officer's intervention. That leaves me as a speaker to have to deal with a a titular chair in front of me, and a de facto chair somebody placed behind me with a badge and a gun, who I can't see and I can't tell if I'm getting angry until it's too late and that officer is standing alongside me. So given that difficult task of serving two masters instead of just one, especially in the light of a recent interaction I had with the Bethlehem Police Department, I've decided that in the future it's simply better for my blood pressure to remain silent. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Mr. Burntis? Then Mr. Grubb.
Al Burntas, 1004 Johnson Drive. I just want everybody to know that I live in a park up by Elias Farmers Market. Couple of update items. We're into our second meeting. There is going to be a meeting of the Zoning Hearing Board 29th of this month to continue with the Elias Farmers Market appeal. And one thing that came up before was we went to 5 members of the board, and that passed as an ordinance, and we talked about going to a vote of the majority. And I just wonder where we stand on that particular issue, if any progress is being made on that.
Mr. Spadoni. Right?
Yes.
Mr. Burnett, is the intent, I mean, as you know, expanding the zoning board from 3 voting members to 5 voting members, which was part of the new zoning ordinance that was presented to the city, but we took it out and voted on it separately. I think the intent was that it would be effective beginning January 1st, 2011, that there would be 5 permanent members and 5 voting members.
But, I'm sorry.
Ms. Dolan, go right ahead.
Mr. Bernitas is referring to the stipulation that there must be a certain number of votes, 3 votes. And I don't think we really have yet to add that language.
That's correct.
So perhaps we could draft an amendment and see that at the next meeting, at least as a communication. Would that be enough time
That
for
would
the
be fine.
first
Mrs.
of the?
Pedoni, please draft that amendment for council to review.
That's been prepared, and I think I shared it with Mr. Bernatas previously. It's ready to go, it should come back at the next meeting.
And I think on a positive note, those words were added to the draft ordinance that to be adopted. So, I mean, we're on the way, but it would be very nice to see that go into effect as soon as possible with 3 votes.
Thank you.
Okay, so I appreciate if that amendment is brought up. Another issue, this particular issue has to do with the hearing that's going on right now at the zoning hearing board. And what I'm going to say right now is just really a matter of bringing it to the council's attention. Because if certain things are mentioned at the zoning hearing board, I don't want them just to stay in that room. There is one municipal planning code section, 906, which states specifically, any alternate member of the board shall continue to serve on the board in all proceedings involving the matter or case for which the alternate was initially appointed until the board has made a final determination of the matter or case. The issue is that we have 3 members of the zoning hearing board, 3 voting members. August 26, 2009, one of the alternates was appointed because one of the regular voting members was not there. So those 3 members should hear this case all the way through.
Mrs. Pedoni, I think I agree with that, but Mr. Pedoni?
I think that would be addressed by the zoning hearing board.
Do you think that will be addressed by them?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. And well, I think we're getting a little bit better at listening to the people at the zoning hearing board. All right, I mean, Chairman Lupus has made a point of letting people talk, and that's very much appreciated. And Mr. Thompson, the solicitor for the zoning hearing board, I would hope he would follow the chair's lead and continue that positive way to go and let folks air out what's really going on. And that's all I have to say this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Grubb?